Just waiting on these two. Well, really, we're waiting on Fanduel Fee, if we're honest. He's probably looking up Baker's amazing stat from this past weekend. I'm Baker Mayfield. I lost to the Falcons. Ooh, look at me. Hey, Fee, you like Tyrod Taylor? No. Just how do you not like Tyrod Taylor over Baker Mayfield? Oh, whatever with you, Fanduel Fee. Welcome to another episode of Three and Out.
Hey now, welcome back to week 8 of the fantasy football season. You are here for another episode of Three and Out, where we completely crapped the bed last week and pretty much every pick we made. I think it might have been the worst picks that we've made in 4 years of having this show. I'm your co-host, Wade Cavati, and joining me, as always, are the best two co-hosts in fantasy football, Mike Dunton and Chris Fiamano. Fanduel Fee, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, last week was a rough one for fantasy goers everywhere. So, hopefully we get it right this week.
Yeah, there were a lot of low scores in leagues this week because of the Bijan Robinson. Isn't that right, Mr. Dutton?
Yeah, it's pretty great. We can tell people about that in a little bit. But yeah, I'm doing great. My fantasy team is 2-5. I'm second in my league in points, and I've given up over 950 points when we play games. It's great. It's fabulous. Like, everyone has their best week when they play up. But you know what's awesome is that these guys right here, the fighting Blue Hens, haven't given up a touchdown in 10 quarters.
Count it, 10 quarters. Number 6 in the country. I think we're up to number 6.
Let's go Blue Hens.
Yeah, they're having a great season. So we do have to give a little quick shout out. He hates when we bring his name up on the show. However, I'm pretty sure he's one of like 4 people to watch every episode that we've ever had of this show. And we should all say happy birthday to longtime listener Verassi, because today's his birthday.
Happy birthday, Verassi.
Like our ultimate fan. Happy birthday. He hates when we say our name. I hope I get a text message. You hate me. So we're moving on. Let's get into it because we have so much to do this week. And so does every team, because there's no buys. Why are there no buys?
There'll be 14 next week.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, we'll get to that. We're not going to do a traditional buy it or BS this week. We're going to have conversations because we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Dutton, I'm going to pose the first question to you, and then we'll go to Fee. Who is the worst coach in the NFL, and why is it Arthur Smith?
Arthur Smith. Oh, wait, you wanted somebody other than him? Because the worst coach is Arthur Smith.
I don't know if there's an answer.
The worst coach is Arthur Smith. So Bijan Robinson touched the ball one time last weekend. Nobody knew why.
They were saying he was sick.
And the NFL's investigating. And I just don't understand. But yet, Arthur Smith did beat the Bucs. So this is what I'll say. If Arthur Smith is the worst coach in football, then Todd Bowles might be worse because he lost to Arthur Smith. And that's where I'll leave it.
First of all, the Falcons keep bailing out this guy when they should be tanking and trying to get him out of there. And look, he's one of those good coordinators, not right for head coaching people, and they're winning in spite of him. And really, the Buccaneers gave that game away last week.
100% we did.
They totally did. Fee, what do you think? Is Arthur Smith the worst coach in the NFL?
Yes, it's Arthur Smith, but if I were to just play devil's advocate here, what about, let's say, Ron Rivera in Washington, not doing so great, and, perhaps maybe Dennis Allen in New Orleans.
Yeah.
They are a dumpster fire. So, there's a few coaches out there that are pretty bad.
What about 3 and Out fan favorite Brandon Staley? Does he get
Brandon Staley? I mean, he still has his job. So come on.
Yeah, you know what? I Brandon Staley might be worse, actually.
He has way more talent. Put it that way. He has way more.
What about our good friend, Mr. Las Vegas Raiders?
Oh yeah,
Josh
McDaniel. He's amazing. He doesn't know which way his team's supposed to be going.
So I guess the conversation, but the Bijan stuff was a mystery. I mean, I know they're saying he was sick, but it's like you said, Dunn, the NFL's investigating. If he was sick, why wasn't he on the injury report? And it's weird, and it seems very weird. I don't know what the point would be holding him out, But also, why is his first attempt of the game in the fourth quarter with a few, like, nothing is adding up. This is one of those Time Life mystery books.
Yeah,
uh,
it was bizarre.
but obviously the conversation is not as cut and dry as saying it's Arthur Smith, but he's in the running. Trade rumors, Derrick Henry, a lot of it this week. They said everyone is it starts with everyone, and they're saying Nuke and Henry are going to be dealt. Fee, we'll start with you. What do you think are some good landing spots for Derrick Henry when he gets traded?
Well, credit where credit's due here. Dunton wrote Buffalo and the Ravens, and really those are like the main two spots. But I wanted to throw out another spot. What about Cincinnati? The Bengals are not as good as everyone thought they would be, and yes, part of it is Burrow's injury. But Joe Mixon has been bad this year. And it's not really showing up because he's scored a few touchdowns here and there, and he's kind of saved himself, but his yardage is bad. He's getting hit behind the line. He's not getting yards after contact. His yards per attempt is I think under 3 or close to 3. So he just hasn't been good all around. And what would it look like if maybe you had Derrick Henry back there instead of Joe Mixon, or let's say you had both of those guys? You can kind of throw one out there, throw the other out there. So I wanted to throw Cincinnati into the mix, but Buffalo and Baltimore seem to be the main two spots here.
Yeah, Dutton, you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I wrote down when we were filling this out. And Fee, I thought of Cincinnati too. Joe Mixon gave me pause because I was like, would they take him? But I hear you about having two of them in the backfield would be great. There's just something about picturing Derrick Henry's broad shoulders in a blizzard in Buffalo, plowing somebody over the goal line in a January playoff game. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can all picture it in your head right now, and like, I don't know. Or there's something picturing Derrick Henry in that purple of the Ravens, just, methodically moving them down the field to keep another team off the field. Or I don't know. Both those teams are great spots for him. I don't know what those teams are willing to give up for him, but it'll be interesting.
I mean, Tennessee, do they go for draft? I mean, they obviously need draft picks, but they need a quarterback. We're find out this week if Will Levis is an NFL quarterback. So if someone could throw in a quarterback into the equation, I think that kind of gives them a little boost, right? Yeah, obviously not their starter, but
right.
Have good backups.
It also seems like they're completely tanking. They're trading away all their pieces. Starting with Byard sending them to the Eagles like that. Right. So they're very clearly dumping salary.
Right. So they don't care about the quarterback. Let's move on to the next question. What's the deal with Jordan Love? Like 2 weeks ago, we were touting this guy, right? Like not because he was great or anything, but because he just kept finding ways to get fantasy points. But it doesn't seem like he's getting any better. So Dutton, what's the deal with Jordan Love? He's kind of falling off a cliff here.
Yeah, I wrote he started out hot, now he's not, right? And Fee wrote it down, and he's right. He can't throw the deep ball, and is it that he's not accurate with the deep ball? Is it that his receivers are not? I don't know, but there's not a connection when Jordan Love throws a deep pass with his wide receivers, and something is not working there. Yes, his offensive line is banged up. Bakhtiari's on the IR. Aaron Jones has been out and then coming back from injury. A.J. Dillon has been terrible this year for the Packers. So none of that has been helping him, but he's not a rookie, and he should be better. And he looked a lot better at the beginning of the year. And I don't know if defenses figured him out. I don't know if defenses have schemed around him and figured out his weaknesses and played to that, but he's not good right now.
I think the running game is hurting them too, right? Like they don't have that dominant running game.
No, I mean, you look at them in that first game against the Bears. Now, granted, it was the Bears, and we see what the Bears are now, but they looked amazing. Right? Aaron Jones was running the ball. Jordan Love was connecting his passes. We don't see that anymore. So.
Faith.
Yeah, so he very clearly can't throw the deep ball at all. He's one of the worst in the league at doing it. But I liken this entire situation to a very similar other situation in New York. Okay. So it is the same exact problem that Daniel Jones is having right now. He's got no offensive line, so he has no time to throw the ball. And oh, by the way, every time Daniel Jones was out there, Saquon Barkley was hurt. So they had no running game either. So not only they're exactly the same thing. Green Bay, no running game. Giants, no running game without Saquon, right? Offensive line injuries to Green Bay, no offensive line to speak of in New York. And so both those quarterbacks are having such difficult issues and a time, having this season because of all of these issues. If you were to give them more time and a running game, they would be better. I have no doubt in my mind. They're both very good quarterbacks, and I don't think that the narrative of them or Daniel Jones more specifically, but for both of them is that they're bad quarterbacks, because I don't think that either one of them are. I think they're in bad situations.
I mean, that's a fair point.
I definitely think I agree more so with Danny Dimes. At least I think he has a little, but who knows with both these guys? Where is it between the heads? Sometimes you got to wonder. But let me ask you something: are you starting Jordan Love over like a Desmond Ridder?
No.
Right?
No,
I said a matchup dependent decision, right?
I said, yeah, that's true too. We both said it last week. Dutton just said it. He said it was matchup dependent. He said it last week. I said it last week is that Ritter's going to get you that 15 to 20 points consistently. So like, if that's what you need, a floor game from, of 15 to 20 points, you obviously want to go with Ritter because, Love might get you, 8, 9, or 10.
Right.
So, Ritter's going to get you more points, and he's definitely more consistent about it too. So like Dutton said, though, it's probably, matters who they're playing. So it's matchup dependent. But I would probably start Ritter over Jordan Love for sure.
Well, the conversation has shifted to a perfect segue to the final question. And you two are split on it, so I want to hear both sides. Well, Fee, you're the Giants fan, so we'll let you start. What are the Giants going to do at quarterback? Because Tyrod Taylor has looked decent enough leading them.
So they're not going to do anything at quarterback. I imagine Daniel Jones will sit out this week as well, just to kind of heal up that injury, and it'll be a full 3 weeks that he's missed, and it'll be almost 4 weeks before the time, by the time he plays the next game. So I imagine he'll sit this week again, let Tyrod go out there and see what he can do, and hopefully lead the team to another win. But really, it's Daniel Jones's team when he gets back. Like I said earlier, he hasn't had a running game to speak of. Their offensive line actually looked a little bit better the last couple of weeks because there's been a bit of consistency there. So it's helped Tyrod. Now there's no question that Tyrod has been getting rid of the ball quickly. His decision making has been quick, but he's also 35 years old and he's been in the league for 15 years. So he's got a ton of experience. I think Daniel Jones hopefully sees that and maybe kind of puts 2 and 2 together and, can try to figure out how to play more like Tyrod, because I think Daniel Jones is the better quarterback. But you have to see what he's going to do with Saquon back for him. And if the O-line can get back healthy.
Dutton.
Just look, I know that they have millions and millions and millions of reasons to start Daniel Jones when he's not hurt. But that team is a lot different right now with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. There's just something. I mean, they played the Bills, so they should have beat them, right? We all talked about it last week. They should have won that game. They beat the Commanders. Yeah, the Commanders are weak, but still, I mean, he hasn't thrown an interception that I remember. I don't think he has. He has 2 touchdowns passing, right? Like, I mean, he's 18 for 29 and 24 for 36. So he's not too bad on his accuracy. Like, why not keep throwing him out there if they're going to keep winning or at least being in games and get Daniel Jones fully healthy? Like, you have a lot of reasons, millions of reasons to make sure he can play next year.
To be fair, Daniel Jones's accuracy is not the problem. He's thrown 76% completion percentage. Okay, so he's hitting the guys that he throws the ball to.
Right.
So accuracy doesn't seem to be a problem. It's that he gets sacked 8 times a game.
Right.
Is that because he's holding onto the ball too long and he's not deciding to make, he's not making decisions as quick, and and that could be part of the problem. But I don't know.
I mean, his mobility too is an asset. There's no
It is.
that. But yeah, it's a tough situation. It's like you said. Also, I think the Giants have to ask themselves what they're doing. Right now, they're 2-5.
Right.
If you're, I'm kind of with Dunton here. You have a long-term $1 million investment here. That if you're not 100% on this guy, go with Tyrod. But I do agree with Fee that I do think Danny Dimes is the better gifted, talented quarterback. And he is technically speaking, he's the franchise player, right? Like he is the one
franchise.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a weird situation there, that's for sure. Let's move on to the locks of the week, where we we all picked different teams, but we agreed on the Lions, and the Lions let us down more than any other team, I think, in the history of our picks. Go ahead, Fee. You have a question in your hand?
Yeah, I do. I have a question. How did we come up with the Lions when none of us picked them?
Because I was picking the Jaguars, and we didn't know if Trevor Lawrence was going to play, and then we just went with a side discussion about the Lions, and we all agreed that the Lions were going to beat the Ravens, so we said let's put the Lions.
Right.
Yeah, that's how we got there.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I did say to pick the Jaguars, and Lawrence wound up playing. Fee, who'd you pick? You picked the Eagles again, I think.
Eagles. Yep, Eagles -1.5, and they crushed the Dolphins.
Yep, and then Dunton, you went against Tyson Bagent, and I told you were nuts, and you lost. But we lost too, so we're 5-2 on the let's get started with this week's locks of the week. Dunton, we're gonna start with you because I love it.
I this week am picking the Texans -3 against the Carolina Panthers, who have yet to win a game, and the Bears are rooting for the Texans. We're rooting for the Texans. Yeah. Why -3? Like, I think it should be more.
2 rookie quarterbacks. I kind of get behind it.
They're in Carolina, so really, it really 6, right? I mean, they're giving 3 back to Carolina, so really it's almost 6.
Yeah. Fee, what do you think?
I'm going back to the well, and I'm taking the Eagles again this week. Only -6.5 against Washington. Washington looked terrible against the Giants. If they look that bad against that team, Philly should destroy them. Philly, it's a weird spot because Philly's coming off a big win against the Dolphins, who are a good team. And Washington's coming off a bad loss against a bad team. So you kind of don't want to go that way. And it's a division game, and I get it. But I don't care. I'm sticking with the Eagles. They're playing a bad team. They should cover the 6.5.
I think so. I think that the secondary is getting healthier too, right? Didn't I see that? That's so. I think all those stats that you're looking at, the Eagles are letting up. When you see the Eagles are letting up so much on the passing game, but it was a lot of backups, right? Now, the healthier they get, I think we have to give them some time to judge. I'm going with the Ravens. They're giving 8.5 on the road to the Cardinals, but we loved we like the Joshua Dobbs story. We talked about how we loved watching, but I think they're figured him out. It's been going downhill pretty quickly. And what the heck are they doing with their running game in Arizona? Last week it was Keontae Ingram, and this week he didn't even get on the field. It's like, what are you doing out there, guys? It just seems like things are awry at the Circle K, whatever that's said at Bill and Ted's. So I'm going with the Ravens over the Cardinals. Gentlemen, who do we want to lock in?
I really feel like
I go with the Texans.
Yeah, I really like that Texans pick.
Have we ever gone with the Texans in 4 years?
No, why not?
I'm so happy. Now, gentlemen, I have a very special surprise for you because I didn't tell you that there's another guest hopping on the show to do the Fanduel Fee Stacks of the Week segment. New listeners of the show are going to think we're nuts, but longtime listeners and old fans are going to be happy to see that Ladies and gentlemen, Paper Bag Fee is back in the building. It's his first appearance of the season. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us on 3 and Out. Over to you, Real Fee.
Why is
How do
Paper
you
Bag?
not love Paper Bag Fee?
He hadn't made an appearance all season. I felt like he wanted to show up for a day.
You like the
All
jacket.
right. All right, on to FanDuel. This is a weird week. Prices seem kind of tight. There's not a ton of value out there. Every team is playing, so there's a lot of guys. So it's kind of hard to pick and choose. But I give it a go here. I have actually almost 4 stacks for you that I like. So like I said, a lot of teams, a lot of choices. I'm going to start with that Baltimore game. Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers. Lamar's 8,800. He's the 3rd highest salaried quarterback on the slate. Zay Flowers at 6,500. Looks like he could be really good. Arizona, you just spoke about it, not great, kind of coming downhill here, and their defense is not good. And you could possibly do a Trey McBride comeback. Zach Ertz is on IR. There's a lot of volume there for McBride, so really you're just kind of hoping that he can maybe get in the end zone for you. He's super cheap. I don't know offhand exactly how much, but I think he's less than 5K.
I'm gonna let's interject real quick. Let's talk about this, both of you guys. So the Lions are notoriously just complete different team when they're in the open air, outside, and on the road. Do we think we've been talking for a couple of weeks about how the Ravens offense didn't look like they were right fit? Do you think it was just an adjustment and these guys figured it out last week, or do you think it was just the Lions on the road being the Lions? Either of you could start.
I think the Lions, I don't want to say they lioned, but they lion cubbed maybe. I think they started to hear all the chatter around the Lions. I mean, all of a sudden there was people talking about the Lions possibly being in the Super Bowl. Like, it got a little intense last week. And I also think Lamar Jackson and his offense kind of figured it out against a team that's not good on the road, especially in the outdoors.
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of factors.
Hey, what do you think?
Yeah, I think Baltimore kind of figured something out. Lamar looked really good. Their running game looked good. They got Mark Andrews more involved. And you notice Lamar threw for 370 something yards. He was throwing the ball. He was dropping back and throwing the ball. So like they weren't running as much, and it almost the passing game almost opened up the running game for them as opposed to the other way around, which is what it usually is for them. I think if they start throwing the ball more and have Lamar be a drop back quarterback, I think they're going to do better. Yeah. They looked great. So they haven't looked good, all the rest of the year. Yeah. So I think they may have figured something out.
Yeah. And I mean, that was just an offense, exactly what you're saying, right? Is they made this investment in Lamar. They didn't want the running first attack. They want him to become a passer. And it's like you said, it's a lot more pass creating the run, where it was the complete opposite. So maybe he is figuring it out.
Yeah, and now they get Arizona. So it's a chance to keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep it rolling. Keep them throwing,
All right, I'll let you get stack. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So yeah, I really like Lamar and Zay Flowers again this week. Second stack, Joe Burrow coming off a bye. Okay, so he's had more time to rest. He's only 7,100. And I guess I get it because he hasn't been great this year, but he's so cheap that like it's an interesting spot, right? You could throw him out there with Jamar Chase at 8,500. And yes, they're playing San Francisco, which obviously has a very good D, but their offense is so banged up that they're not on the field much anymore, right? So like their defense is out there long periods of time. They get tired. You just saw Minnesota beat them up. Yeah. And I think the Bengals have a better offense than Minnesota does. But I like the Burrow Chase stack. I think it would be very underowned. if you're trying to be contrarian a bit. And, you could obviously come back with Brandon Ayuk on the other side. He's only 7,700, so really not that bad salary-wise. Third stack, I got Mahomes at 9K and Raji Rice at 6K playing Denver, who has the 32nd ranked defense against the pass in the NFL.
I like that.
Yes, they're playing in Denver with that thin air, but I don't think it matters much for Kansas City and that offense. Denver is just so bad that really the Chiefs should kind of run all over them. Yeah, well, and pass all over them, both. So really you can almost triple stack that game if you really want to.
I got to interject here because Phoebe just brought up another great point that Denver has the 32nd worst pass defense, and that's who Jordan Love played.
That's what I was just about to say, Wayne. I was waiting for Pete to stop. Exactly.
So back to our conversation earlier, that made it even worse that he was bad.
Right.
Okay.
Not
mention, because I love your honorable mention here.
Yeah. So not good for Jordan Love, by the way. Yes, honorable mention here is CJ Stroud and Nico Collins.
That's a great one right there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to pull it up here because I forgot to write it down. And of course, it's not exactly working the way I want it to. But CJ Stroud is only 7,400. He's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 8th or 9th quarterback, salary wise on the slate. So he's 7,400. So he's kind of cheap, especially for a quarterback. They're playing Carolina, obviously not a good defense. And you stack him up with Nico Collins, who is also fairly cheap at 7,200. And you might have something there going against Carolina.
I like that.
And you could come back with Adam Thielen if you really want to, right? I mean, he puts up points. The only problem with Thielen is that he's kind of expensive, and it's tough for me to get him in there at 8,200. I think you can go other ways. But I don't mind the Stroud Nico Collins stack either this week. And then my one-off play this week is Breece Hall against the Giants. He's only 7,200. So fairly cheap for a very good running back against not a great running defense in the Giants. So it's an interesting spot for Breece Hall at 7,200, and I like him as well.
Yeah, I like those stacks this week. Great job, Real Fee. Where are you? Great job, Real Fee. Thanks for having me, guys.
See you later, Paper Bag Fee.
For those who haven't watched previous years, Paper Bag Fee came out when I was not able to make the show.
Yes.
Just an explanation for other people out there.
He only does stacks. He knows nothing else about fantasy football.
Just stacks.
Like we said, last week was our worst week of the season in picking starts and sits, but we feel like people that we've talked to, everyone made wrong decisions last week because it was just a wild week of injuries and weird playing. So yeah, it was brutal. But that being said, we're gonna knock it out of the park this week. So I want to start with Fee because I love his quarterback start. Oh, and let's do our weekly reminder that this is Wednesday night. So you got a lot of these people are limited or questionable or there's something. So you just got to make sure. And secondly, the reminder that we both have mentioned already, but there's no buys this week. So everyone is on the table. You don't have to dig very deep. Fee, get it started.
I'm rolling with CJ Stroud. Just spoke about him playing Carolina. He's my start of the week.
Done.
I'm going with Joe Burrow. Obviously a start, but I think some people might be like, ooh, 49ers defense. I don't know if the 49ers defense is as tough as we think they are. Like,
Agreed.
I mean, good, but I mean, you know what I'm saying? And I think, like you said earlier, Fee, Burrow's had a week off on a bye. He's coming back. He looks better. So don't stay away from Joe Burrow is why I'm saying to start him this week.
It's the 49ers I think have a lot of good playmakers and they're just not playing as the defense they did last year. Maybe it's because the best defensive coordinator in the NFL is now the best head coach in the NFL and DeMeco Ryans. I'm just going to throw that out there. But they've been people could score points on them. I mean, the Cardinals did, right?
Right.
Okay, so I am going with Tyson Bagent, baby. It's prime time. Look, he's not going to get you a lot of points, but if I got him in the league and I'm going to start him, he had more points than Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, and Sam Howell, who I know was started in, and it was like 40% of leagues last week. So don't say, oh, Sam Howell. He was started in a good amount of leagues, and he outscored all of them. And now the worst fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks in the NFL this season is the Charger, who he's playing. And they played for him. The Bears played for him. So I think they'll show up. And Cole Kmet is just getting loose, man. He's just Tyson Bagent, full speed ahead. It's the only week I'll ever be able to say that. Who do we want to lock in?
DJ Stroud.
I love Stroud. I want to do Stroud. Okay, Dunton, start with your running back.
Fee mentioned him in his stacks. Brees Hall. I mean, he's going against the Giants, not a strong run defense, and they're going to have to run the ball. I mean, it's the battle for New York. Apparently, Eli Manning and Aaron Rodgers are having a catch on the sideline, so we'll see what happens. They talked about it the other day.
Interesting.
I actually, just side note, I'm actually going to the game on Sunday.
Look at this.
Yeah. Giants Jets. I'm bringing the whole family, actually.
Oh, so that's fun.
Hopefully it's not very raucous in the stands. We'll see how it goes. for my 3 little girls.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. I am rolling with Isaiah Pacheco against the Denver Broncos. The Chiefs should be way ahead in this game, and I think that they'll run the ball with Pacheco often.
Just for everyone knowing why Dutton's cheering over here is because an hour before Sunday's game, Dutton and I traded Pacheco and Hawkinson for Bijan Robinson, who went on and got 1 carry for 3 yards.
He offered the trade, just so everybody knows. He reached out about the trade.
I did. I wanted Bijan. I'm going to tell you to start Dameon Pierce. We've talked about how bad the Panthers defense is. They've actually allowed the most rushing touchdowns with 11 this year. Pierce hasn't been getting a lot of yards, but I think he'll get in the end zone. Dameon Pierce.
I got a question. Dameon Pierce has kind of been stuck in a committee there now.
It could be Singletary too, but I think
Singletary.
Yeah, Evan Singletary.
What's the deal with that? Do you have any kind of insight on that, or?
It's just been, well, first of all, the offensive line has been in shambles, and then so because of that, they've gone. We know how Dameon Pierce plays. He's a bruiser, right? Like, and Singletary gets outside more. He's better in the passing game, and it's just been, kind of this need to be a little quicker with the slower offensive line. But now that they're getting healthier, I think you go back to the guy that plows up the middle and takes care of business.
Got it.
So who do we want to lock in? I really do like Pacheco against Denver. I hate to say it, but I also like Brees Hall. Either one.
Both.
Yeah.
Go with Pacheco, because that way I don't have to root for Brees Hall.
Okay, there we go. We'll make Bees David.
I like George Pickens, easy Pickens against the Jaguars. The Jags defense is really good against the rush. They're pretty good against the pass, but I think Deontay Johnson being back really helped Pickens last week too, right? And Johnson got his, so you could start both with confidence. It was good. But I think it just opens things up more for Pickens. Dunton.
Fee mentioned him earlier as well. Zay Flowers. I mean, I think he might have had his coming out party finally last week. We've all been waiting. I mean, he's been good, but last week he was like, whoa, there he is.
Yeah. Fee.
I'm going with Devontae Smith. I know AJ Brown has been the darling of the Philadelphia offense, going for 100 yards in like 6 straight games or something like that. But I want to go with Devontae Smith this week against the Commanders. I think that it's a good spot for them to get him involved more. So I'm gonna start Devontae Smith this week.
Done.
I already said who I was starting. Dave Flowers.
Oh, yeah, Flowers. Sorry, my bad. Who are we gonna lock in? I already did mine too.
Yeah.
I like Flowers.
I do. All right, let's go with Flowers.
He's becoming a really good player, and he's fun to watch.
Right.
Tight ends. There was actually good picks this week for tight ends. Fee, yours is interesting. Get it started.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Ferguson this week for the Cowboys playing playing the Rams, who are near the very bottom of the league against the tight end this year. So I'm going to start Ferguson.
Dutton.
Going with Kyle Pitts. It's crazy to think, but all of a sudden, he actually is looking like a tight end. And he's catching the ball, and he's running routes, and he's not just blocking. And he's playing the Titans, who their defense is not very good.
Yeah. I love my pick here because if you look down Fanduel Fee, you'll see why I like it so much. But the Jets have allowed the most touchdowns to the tight end, and if Tyrod goes, which it's looking like, he really likes Darren Waller. So Waller's my pick this week against the Jets, and I think he gets in the end zone. I do, especially if it's Tyrod, because he really likes him. Who do we want to lock in though? I really want to go Kyle Pitts. We've given this guy so much hell this year. Let's go Kyle Pitts. Anyone with me? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's review our 3-and-out starts. It's CJ Stroud at quarterback, Isaiah Pacheco at running back, Zay Flowers at wide receiver, and sit of the week, Kyle Pitts at starting tight end. Quarterback sits. Dunton, we'll start with you.
I'm sitting Trevor Lawrence against the Steelers. Steelers defense is the Steelers defense, and Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, but fantasy-wise, I think you might have some better options.
Fee.
I'm sitting Russell Wilson against the Kansas City Chiefs this week. No explanation needed.
Nope.
I don't know. I wanted to start Stafford. Sit Stafford. The Cowboys defense has been good, but it's so hard for me with those two receivers. But I do think that I know a lot of people think that he's a big start this week, but I think he's been playing really well, and he's kind of ready for one of those games against a pretty good defense, a Matthew Stafford game. So that's just mine. But I think and Russ is pretty obvious, but I think more people would be starting Trevor Lawrence than Russ anyway. So that would be I think that Steelers defense has been great.
Yeah. All right. Good. Sit Trevor.
Running back, Fee.
I'm sitting James Cook against the vaunted Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense. I know, done. But I am sitting James Cook this week against the Bucs.
And I'm gonna sit Derrick Henry. The Falcons have been pretty good against the run. They haven't even allowed a rushing touchdown yet this season. I think, like we said, they're in tank mode. Derrick Henry's on the trading block. They kind of like Tajay Spears, right? That's his name, Tajay Spears. Yes. So why not get him involved in the running game more? Protect your investment if you're going to trade him away. And I just don't think that. I think it's going to be more of a 50-50 timeshare with Derrick Henry now. So who do we want to lock in?
I mean, hold on. Let me tell you mine. Mine was Josh Jacobs. Okay. No, mine's Josh Jacobs against the Lions because I think the Lions' defensive line is going to wreck. However, I think both your picks are great because I think both of them will be part of the trade if Derrick Henry ends up on the Bills.
Oh, yeah.
James Cook ends up on the Titans.
Wow.
That would give the Titans a nice young running back combo.
Right.
With Spears and Cook.
Lincoln.
Yeah. Interesting. So who do we want to lock in?
Henry.
Derrick Henry. I like Derrick Henry because I really think he's getting traded. So.
Wide receiver, I'll start with Courtland Sutton. He's had 3 good weeks in a row. And you know my thoughts on this guy. I don't think he's going to have a fourth. I can't believe he's scored 2 weeks in a row. Good for him. But I think the Chiefs played them once. They have the film. They know what to do. They know Courtland Sutton now. And I think they take him out of this game. Dutton.
I'm sitting Fee's favorite Terry McLaurin against the Eagles because their secondary looked pretty staunch last week against the Dolphins. And this is Terry McLaurin on the Commanders. So, sitting Terry McLaurin.
And Fee.
I'm sitting DK Metcalf. I know he's banged up, so he might actually not even play. But even if he does play, or if he doesn't play, I would sit even Tyler Lockett. So just sit your Seahawks receivers this week.
You don't want to go with Bobo? You think that guy's going to be crazy on the waiver wire after having that 1 week? And when
great catch, and he's going to be the waiver wire pickup.
Yeah. I'm good with sitting Seattle wide receivers.
I like it. Browns defense is solid.
Yeah. Tight end, Dutton, start with you.
I'm sitting Darren Waller. I liked everything you said of why to start him, except I feel like the Jets are really good about taking away your best option, and Darren Waller is the best option for Tyrod Taylor, so that's what I'm worried about.
That's fair. Fee.
So I'm gonna sit Dalton Kincaid, and here's why. Everybody is all about Dalton Kincaid going forward, and as they should going forward. Dawson Knox with the wrist surgery. The other tight end is all banged up, so he might not even play. So like he's like their only guy, and I get it. He may get a ton of volume, but Tampa Bay is best in the league against the tight end this year. Okay, on defense, and if they can do anything, they should be able to stop the tight end. And so for this specific week, I want to sit Dalton Kincaid, especially because he's the darling of tight ends this week. So I feel like I just gotta go against that. But going forward, Dalton Kincaid is going to be a fantastic play. I just think that you should sit him this week.
That's fair.
43-12 is the final score tomorrow. Bills.
But the Bills.
Whoa. Well, that means Dalton Kincaid's going to get some.
Like I don't think the Bucks have much of a chance in this game at all.
The Bills haven't looked good.
But that's what I'm worried about.
Plus, it's Thursday night. Thursday night is anything can happen. That game could be 9-6.
True.
Baker Mayfield, baby.
He might not even be playing. He's hurt.
I know. And my sit at tight end is Evan Ingram. I've already said I think the Steelers' defense is fantastic. They've only allowed 1 touchdown to tight ends. I think that Lawrence and Kirk have a good connection again, and he's got to throw to Ridley. And last year it was Kirk and Ingram, and I feel like Ingram's becoming the odd man out. So who do we want to lock in?
I like
Ingram.
the Ingram sit. I like let's sit Ingram. That's good. We're sitting Trevor Lawrence, so why not sit Ingram too?
Oh, there you go.
Right.
So our sits of the week, Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, Derrick Henry at running back, Seattle receivers, DK was the preference, but if he doesn't go because of injury, we said Lockett as well. And then Evan Ingram at tight end. Gentlemen, anything to add before we sign off of yet another week of fantasy football?
No, have
Good
fun
luck
at the
in
game,
your
Lee.
fantasy league. What?
Have fun at the game.
Hey, thank you.
Root for Tyrod.
Yeah.
I will be.
And Darren Waller, so I could beat Dunton. All right. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week on 3 and Out.